Nais ko na lang ganyan. The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. Some consumers are choosing to buy grocery items at convenience stores despite higher prices. But the DTI says they're not yet keen on including convenience stores under the SRP. Shaila Francisco with the details.
Whenever she's in a rush, Sandra buys grocery items at this convenience store, especially since it's nearer to her place. She doesn't mind that items are more expensive here compared to supermarkets, as long as she saves on fuel for transportation.
Tinatamad na pumunta ng grocery. Haba ng pila. Piso-piso lang naman diferensya ng mga bilihan eh. Mas yung convenient.
Due to higher prices, others like Audrey buy only fewer items in convenience stores.
Hindi lang piso, lalo pag mga ganito mga 24 hours. Siguro mga more than 2-5 pesos. Pero sa ngayon ito lang kaya ko muna eh. Hindi naman ako single, so mayroon pa umaasa sa akin eh. Usually, kung ako lang, kaya ko pa i-budget ngayon, sobrang strain ng budget ko eh. Kasi bukod dito, bayarin pa, kuryente.
One News went to several convenience stores in Mandaluyong, Pasig, and Taguig to see how their prices compare to the suggested retail price imposed by the Trade Department. A 175-gram corned beef for one, which costs less than 40 pesos under the SRP, costs as high as 61 pesos in several stores. Other items are up to 10 pesos more expensive, while some convenience stores are not selling certain items. The Trade Department explains convenience stores are not covered by the SRP due to its unique value chain. Aside from operating for 24 hours, they have fewer storage and shelves, and they have additional services to consumers.
Hindi na natin ini-impose sa kanila ang SRP. And you're right, sila na ang magpapresyo nun, discretion na nila kung paano ang kanilang add-on or markup dun sa produkto because of the cost of operations naman. At saka kung saan nila kinuha yung produkto and then i-add mo lahat yung mga yung cost ng pagpatakbo ng maliit na store na yon.
The DTI, however, says consumers can report to the DTI if some convenience stores are overpricing. Officials of some convenience stores, however, assured that they are not overpricing, noting that they are also affected by higher prices of commodities. They are not also marking up that much to retain customers.
We have to survive because we are running a business, so yung markup is according to the price increase.
For now, the DTI advises to those who are on a budget to buy items covered by the SRP.
Yung SRP kasi natin, yan yung pinaka-reasonable presyo na mabibili ng consumer because DTI studies it very well.
For his part, incoming DTI Secretary Fred Pascual says he is open to reviewing the SRP list and whether there is a need to add more items. For now, he doesn't see the need to include convenience stores and smaller retailers under SRP.
What we need to do is to inform consumers as to what are the suggested retail prices and let the market competition take care of issues like what you're saying. Do we need to include the small retailers, sari-sari stores? Maybe we don't need to, as long as there are alternatives to consumers to buy products from outlets that are observing the suggested retail prices.
As far as price increases are concerned, Pascual says they will review the pending price hike requests. They are also encouraging manufacturers to use substitutes to lower prices. The DTI, meanwhile, will be looking at other countries to source supply in case the usual trade partners are implementing export ban. Shaila Francisco, We Are One News.
The incoming trade secretary wants to scout for more trading partners to address the ongoing supply issues for some basic goods. Let's hear more about Fred Pascual's plans in this report from Shaila Francisco.
As the war in Ukraine drags on, its effect is felt more and more in economies around the world, including the Philippines, from soaring prices of oil to lack in supply of some goods. To plug the gap when it comes to the supply of some items, incoming Trade Secretary Alfredo Pascual says it's high time to look for more trading partners.
We need to scan the market, and see whether there are friendly nations that we can approach, or even nations we have not dealt with before, but have the supply. We need to be resilient ourselves by being resourceful.
But it's not just consumers who are hurting with high prices of commodities. Manufacturers are also now asking for price hikes. Pascual says such requests will be evaluated. He is also open to reviewing whether to include more products under the suggested retail price lists. For now, he advises both consumers and manufacturers to look for substitutes to expensive inputs and products.
And let the market competition take care of issues like what you're saying. Do we need to include the small retailers, sari-sari stores? Maybe we don't need to, as long as there are alternatives to consumers to buy products from outlets that are observing the suggested retail prices.
With the economy taking a double beating, first from the pandemic and now the war in Ukraine, Pascual says it's high time to focus on one of the economy's bloodlife, the medium, small, and micro enterprises. This includes providing working capital, tapping the SB Corporation for financing, and the use of technology.
Expand their market by integrating them into the e-commerce platforms, either existing or platforms that we will develop specifically for the small enterprises.
He also wants to help boost employment, first by strengthening the BPO sector through further training with state institutions, as well as modernizing manufacturing and agriculture to further attract a younger workforce. Shaila Francisco, VR1 News.
Amid the rising pump in commodity prices, one financial expert shared some tips for Filipinos to save money. In an interview with 1PH's Sa Totoo Lang, financial expert Vince Rapisura told Filipinos to make a grocery list and stick to it before shopping. Rapisura added that consumers must also check their pantry to make sure that they will only buy what they need. Here's the rest of his so-called plan advice.
Planuhin talaga natin kung saan tayo pupunta, ano yung mga trip na gagawin natin. Kung pwedeng magsabay-sabay na lang tayong lumabas ng bahay, hindi na magkanya-kanya. Kung presyo ng gasolinang titignan, tumingin tayo dun sa mga out of the highway. Kasi usually, mas mahal ang overhead ng mga gasolinahan sa mga main thoroughfares o sa mga expressways. I-avoid natin yung impulse buying. So, usually kasi kapag tayo ay gutom o kaya pagod, tapos doon tayo mag-grocery, mas mayroon tayong propensity to spend na hindi na natin pag-iisipan kasi pagod na nga tayo o gutom.
We'll be back with more stories after a quick break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Charles Lehano. Senator Coco Pimentel says that at this point, it's still difficult to predict who will become members of the minority in the upper house. This follows reports that Senator Pia Cayetano and her brother, Senator-elect Alan Peter Cayetano, are also likely to join the minority. Pimentel tells 1PH sa Totoo Lang that he has yet to speak with the Cayetanos, and he also noted that anything can happen until the sessions begin for the nomination of the Senate President, as those who will not vote will automatically be part of the minority bloc. Meanwhile, Pimentel has expressed support for Senator Risa Ontiveros' proposal to reinvestigate formally in the 19th Congress.
I agree with her that it can be done kasi ang Blue Ribbon nga nag-investigate ng mga pangyayari na kahit na 5 years ago kahit na 3 years ago this is just a recent happening. So pwede pong imbestigahan ulit yan sa 19th Congress by the Senate.
A coffee shop in Cubao is run by families of victims of extrajudicial killings. Other than serving drinks, the cafe also serves to educate their visitors about the atrocities of the drug war. Mobile journalist Jacob Lazaro gives us the front seat to this story.
Hidden in a cozy corner of Cubao Expo in Quezon City is a unique coffee shop to calm your nerves while serving as home for many tragic stories. Silingan Coffee Shop is completely run by families of the victims of the war on drugs for the last 6 years. Grace Garganta's father, Marcelo, and brother, Joseph, were killed just hours apart on July 22, 2016, during a police operation in Navotas City. Grace wanted to be a chef when she was in college, but that was put on hold after she became the breadwinner of the family.
Pinapalakas ko na lang din yung sarili ko, tsaka mga kapatid ko. Pero yung mga pangangailangan nila na hindi ko na kaya. Kaya kahit mga bata pa sila, nagtatrabaho na sila, ng mga batilyo, nag-aatak na sila ng banyera, 50 kilos sa fishport.
Sharon Angeles, the head barista of Silingan, said the main goal was to give jobs to the families of the victims. Silingan, meaning neighbor in Cebuano, employs a total of 6 families. Silingan first opened last year, a project by Brother June Santiago of Redemptorist Church and human rights group Resbac. Though Sharon admits, business has been rough.
Nahiya talaga kami pag wala kaming benta. Alam ba, nasa 300 ang namin, sales. Nahiya ako send yun. Sabi ko, bukas na lang, baka may tao, dumami-dami.
They also aim to educate people about the consequences of extrajudicial killings. According to the official figures, more than 6,000 were killed during the war on drugs, but Human Rights Group says the number is much higher. With the loss of their loved ones, Grace and Sharon's lives will always be a cup half empty. But it's in that emptiness where they chose to keep the memories of their fathers, brothers, and husbands alive. And what better way to discuss such a polarizing topic than with a warm cup of coffee? Mobile journalist Jacob Lazaro, we are One News.
With one win each in the game of 7 NBA Finals, the Boston Celtics and the Golden State Warriors once again clash on the hard court, this time in Celtics territory. The Celtics banked on a strong start with Jaylen Brown sinking 3 triples in the first quarter. The Celtics ended their first quarter with an 11-point lead, 33-22. And the second quarter was no better for the Warriors, who struggled to catch up as Thompson, Curry, and Wiggins shoot threes back-to-back-to-back. The Celtics kept their double-digit lead, and by halftime, the score ended at 68-56 to Boston. But by the third quarter, the Warriors seemed to have found their bearings, slashing the lead and finally catching up to the Celtics, 93-89. Both teams are still going head-to-head in the fourth quarter. And those are the top stories at this hour. Join us later at 2 p.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com so you can stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Charles Lehano. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.